Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live right here on the International Public Radio via United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from beautiful New Orleans, of course. The Outer Realm is fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee and by Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, a.k.a. Justin Snicker. Award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on just about most streaming platforms. So go on and check him out. And tonight, we welcome back Tom Conwell, who will be picking up where he left off on the July 29th segment with furthering UFO research on mapping UFO sightings in the U.S. and his theory on ET being a little closer than we think. In fact, right here on good old planet Earth. So please join us in YouTube's International Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio, Facebook UFO Paranormal Radio and United Public Radio, one of the same. Canada's Most Haunted. Moi. Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover News on the flip side. All Facebook and Twitch. UFO Paranormal Radio, and let's not forget the Outer Realm Facebook page. So hello Wayne, hello Michelle. I love it. Okay, I think we are good to go, and yeah, so good. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. You betcha it's going to be awesome. So here we go. How's it going?
Okay, how are you?
Well, it's Thursday. Almost there.
I know, right? Like
yeah.
I keep all week, this week and last week, I kept waking up thinking I was already at the end of the week. Like Monday, I woke up thinking it was Sunday.
Surprise. Yeah.
It's
maybe
one of those
damn
moments, right?
Yeah.
But that was yesterday. Shoot.
Yeah. That's we're getting there. We're getting there. It's all A-okay,
Not that we stop working on the weekends. It's just...
No, this is true. We actually do not stop working on the weekend. We go. But you know what? I don't know. I think what we do is really rewarding. We help so many people, and and I get to do another amazing show also. Joe and I on Gray Zone on Saturday. I should plug that. 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Anything you want to learn, you go there. My goodness.
It's going to be
a great show.
Fun. It's going to be like a show and tell sort of thing. I can't give it away right now. But
it's always fun, though. It's not like when I mean you want to learn something, you're educated and entertained at the same time and wowed. I love the show. I try not to miss it if I can. I think I've missed maybe 3. But
we get really good feedback from it. So I'm really grateful for that. The feedback is amazing. We weren't on for about a month. It's like, what happened?
Yeah.
It was like, wow, whoa. All right. So
stupid buttons.
I know.
Oh God. No, I'm catching the glimpse of gold every now and then when I turn a certain way. It's throwing me off on the screen, right? It's just my stupidity.
No, I know. Fun times.
You feel, Robin Smith, I feel like I need to dye my hair red, and although it's so white, it would come out pink.
So white, it would
not
come
if you
out pink.
Not if you add a natural brown to it. It'll anchor the base and add a little bit of violet. I'm actually changing my color next week. I still don't know what to, but I'm changing it. I'm working on it.
Hey, Bradley. Hey, Wayne Murphy. Hopefully your Thanksgiving and Christmas is a blessing for you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
And okay, this is like my other partner in crime being really supportive. It's because I'm sweet and nice and Michelle is insane. What the hell ever, Joe? I am not the insane one. I see you holding Lola. Holding out on us.
Thank you, Robin. You look great to me in your photo. I can see your profile pic, Robin.
I know,
You're
right?
beautiful. You dye that hair with a red violet mix and some natural brown. You're going to be popping.
That's it.
That'll
Exactly.
be vibrant. That'll be vibrant.
Can't get much more vibrant than this. Just saying.
That's
Just,
a different. That's a
I
red.
stick out like
that's
a
a
sore
red
thumb.
vibrant. No, it's not sore at all. She's a beautiful thumb.
You will not lose me in a crowd.
No,
Just
or
saying.
in a store, and it works really well.
Yeah.
Like, where's
Oh,
your
sure.
thumb?
You'll spot me out, especially if it's sunny out. People just look at me and they point at me, and I'm like, I know you. I know. You're on TV.
Thanks,
No.
international.
No, not really. It's the hair, isn't it? I know. That's
Yeah.
just funny.
Well, we're not going to be the two redheads next week. Just until Wednesday.
Whatever. We're two totally different shades.
I get really like I need to change all the time.
Right.
I'm terrible that way. When I
can't.
get to wear
I love my hair too much to change.
No, yours is absolute perfection. It's your signature. It's who you are. For me, I think who I am is the constant change, which drives my stylist up the wall. But I used to do color, so that probably makes it even more difficult for her.
Yeah. It is hard. It is hard. I almost thought about going opposite, black with big red highlights. And my stylist looked at me and went, no. It's that simple. Absolutely
you
not.
have 3 shades, right?
I have 3 shades. There are actually 3 shades.
Too much to have 2.
It is. It's a lot of work.
It's very harsh. The
contrast. Oh, sorry, Kathy. No, it's not a fashion show, but we're waiting for our guests, so we're just chatting. But it is a good cue in to do the bio and get ourselves,
Wow.
And get ourselves ready for Tom, who should be coming in anytime. Thank you for our cue. Kathy's our new producer. Oh, then you got to reel us in. That's all right.
I'm going to start with a little bit of background on him, if that's okay.
Yeah, so of course.
I know he's going to be here at any minute. Hopefully, if you missed it, hopefully I cover a little bit about him from the last time that he was on. And I am going to kill Joe.
Right.
It's
okay, Kathy. Okay. It's okay, Robin. And thank you very much.
No worries.
Joe.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
So anyways, tonight our guest is a ufologist and an author. Tom Conwell has a wide-ranging expertise with keen awareness of physics, computer and internet software, and a broad knowledge of electronics and how it interacts with the paranormal world and UFOs. Tom has studied and researched UFO sighting reports from the U.S. East Coast to the West Coast and the central U.S. Tom has assembled a map of UFO sightings, which is what we're discussing tonight, which has revealed many anomalies and is now an integral part of his research studies. So if you missed it last time, you can catch it in archive, but we will touch on a tiny bit just to bring you back up to speed. For those of you who don't remember, if you're here every week, it's hard to remember every show. But yeah.
We're good then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, he is here. So, ta-da! Here's the man.
Tom, how are you?
Hi, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you girls?
We're good. It's Thursday. It's almost the weekend.
Really?
Yeah, this is a good thing. It's a good thing. It's been a long week.
You celebrate the weekend? You looked surprised, like you didn't know what that was.
Yeah. No, I know. Sometimes some of us just work all the way through, so it's just we get a little excited. Well, how have you been doing? Keeping busy? Have you been research?
I haven't done too much research. I was preparing for a speech, which I gave last Monday, and that was a lot of fun. But other than that, no, I've just been trying to stay on top of what I had to say and making sure that I was thorough.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So what I'd like to do is recap a little bit on your research for those who haven't gotten to the archive or who may have missed you back on the July show. Can you talk a little bit about, primarily before we get into the new presentation, what you specialize in with UFO and mapping and so on?
Okay. Well, I started out trying to figure out if there was any reason why there were so many sightings across the United States, and I knew there had to be some sort of pattern. So I put together a map of my home state, New York, and thinking that it was going to be revealing. Well, it was, except for one thing. What I realized is um, the sightings that I had put onto this map only stopped at the border of New York. What would happen if there were like 10 sightings on the far western border of New York and 50 sightings on the far eastern border of the next state over, which would have been Pennsylvania? I was leaving that out.
Right.
So I really had no alternative but to do an entire map of the United States. And so
that must grow pretty regularly for you.
Yeah. So I tried putting that together. That was a lot of work, a lot of time I spent on that. And as I was doing it, I realized that I had so many UFO sightings that I was going to have to change how I was posting them. There were like too many in one place, such as New York City. I just had so many of them that I had to go from the little pins I was using to big pins that stood for 20 of the little pins.
Wow.
And I had the same kind of problem, especially when I went to the West Coast, because there I had 100 pins equal one big pin. And I couldn't make it the same color as the East Coast and create a problem for myself. So I had to make a different color. It was a nightmare, believe me.
Right.
I had so many sleepless nights that it was awful. It was just awful. That's all I can say.
Well, I mean, it's definitely a huge undertaking, without a doubt. But it's mind-blowing also when you think about the fact that all of this represents sightings. And I'm sure it represents only a fraction of sightings because not everybody reports what's going on, right? So what percentage do you think you actually have been documenting?
For these particular sightings, what I did is I took the entirety of the National UFO Reporting Center and broke that down into 7 groupings. And within those groupings, I eliminated 4 of the 7 groupings. And I eliminated them because I had so many sightings in just the 3. So already with what I was putting on the map, I was putting less than half. And it was just tough. It really was very, very difficult to do. And every time I put a pin in the map, I created another problem for myself, which had to be solved. It was awful. It really was awful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad you took the time to do it. I mean, I think, something like that needs to be done. It's just somebody taking the time to do it, and that's just the United States. You could just imagine the rest of the world. Maybe you want to do a bigger undertaking.
Well, see, the problem is that the database doesn't exist for the rest of the world.
Really?
Yeah. You may find a good collection of sightings in Canada, but
Oh,
and
yeah.
perhaps even in Great Britain, but that's about it that I'm aware of.
Right, right.
So can't really put them on a map.
Yeah. Kathy says not everyone reports, yet everyone has a camera. Lots of blurry witness accounts. Yeah, I agree. I think now the fact that everyone pretty much does have a camera should be able to get some pretty amazing captures. But I guess in the same respect, do you pay attention? Because some of these UFO sightings are so far up, you don't. Some people don't know. Are they looking at a satellite? Are they looking at a plane? Are they
Yeah.
looking? You
Um,
know, blurry eyes.
one of the groups that I completely eliminated for my map was lights in the sky.
Right.
If all somebody's seeing is a light in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
even though it may be moving oddly,
Mm-hmm.
what can you say about it? I mean, it's just a light, and so I just eliminated the whole group of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a
Oh,
lot. That was probably one of the bigger groupings of sightings that I had. Lights in the sky.
mm-hmm.
I think some people are afraid to report because they could lose their jobs, depending on what type of career they have. So I think you're missing a lot of information because of that. Can they report anonymously or
Oh,
no?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You could report anonymously, but as far as the reports go to MUFON, they're looking for a name so that they can send someone out to investigate. The National UFO Reporting Center, you can get away with putting down a name, or in a lot of cases, they just make up a name and stick one in there.
Yeah.
That's not important. What's
Mm-hmm.
important is what they see, because until such time as you can determine that you have a whole lot of things going on in one place, you can't draw any conclusions from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would like to see um, every report made every single time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let me throw this out. When I saw my UFOs, and that was 3 very significant events, I did not report them.
Oh, okay. So
Well, now why
why?
the heck wouldn't a ufologist report
Yeah.
what he saw? Um,
Right.
only because the first one, I didn't want to stop what I was doing, and I didn't want to miss anything. I wanted what I was going to see um, uh, permanently affixed in my mind. I,
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to write about it,
Right.
even though I included the sighting within my books.
Hmm. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on your experiences? Like maybe your most memorable experience?
Yeah, that was great. Well, actually, let me talk about 2 of them. The
Okay.
third one was a little muddled, but the first one, I saw 9 bright balls of fire in the sky,
Wow.
and they were moving very slowly
Wow.
across the sky.
Wow.
So they obviously weren't meteors, because
Mm-hmm.
meteors, like, they zip, they're gone.
Right.
These were just sort of floating across the sky, and I was seeing them 2 at a time.
Hmm.
And when I finally honed in on where they were coming from and what I was seeing, because I wasn't seeing them come from where I thought I should be seeing them. Um, uh, let me explain that a little better.
Okay.
I was looking north, which is like right along the Hudson River, and I wasn't seeing things, and then um, all of a sudden there they were. So I was a little confused as to what I was seeing when.
Mm.
Um, were they really coming towards me for a good long period of time, or
Mm.
did they just appear? So I stared at the sky and wouldn't allow my eyes off of it, and I realized that these things went from completely black to many times brighter than the moon. They just popped on right in front of me. It was
Wow.
really quite amazing.
That would be quite the
Yeah,
sight for sure. Wow.
yeah. Well, that was the first sighting. There were 9 of those,
Mhm.
and they each made a maneuver in the sky in exactly the same place.
Mm.
Then I was going to work one morning, and it was very dark, very cold morning, and I looked at a distance. I had just crossed the Hudson River in my car, and I looked at a the an area above the high tension wires,
Mhm.
and there was a super bright ball of, I don't know what. It was just big and bright red, and
Wow.
I thought for a minute, gee, maybe I'm seeing some sort of electrical discharge, but maybe I would expect that to be a little bit more blue.
Mhm.
But this this thing um, just hovered in the sky right over the high tension wires.
Mhm.
Well, I had to turn off at that point, so I put my turn signal on, and just as I did that, this thing rushed at my car and just barely missed hitting the windshield, and off it went to the right and up.
Wow.
That was
Wow.
that was nuts, really
Yeah, that's
crazy.
that's a little bit different than the average person's average sighting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
wow. Wow. That's phenomenal. Really, that is. Most people, you're lucky if you see a little something in the sky. The nine lights to me, balls of fire would be, there's no missing that. Did anybody
No.
else, like, were there any reports that came in with that?
With that particular one, nobody placed any reports.
Wow. God,
Yeah,
you think that other people would have seen that.
you'd think it was like up over the city of Troy, and it was very bright.
Wow. Jeez, that's
Okay, I see
uh,
that question there. No,
yes.
I never met Paul, but I sure would have loved to.
Yes. Yeah, me too. I think Joe interviewed him actually. There we go. Could also have been military ops. That could be.
Uh, I don't I don't know what kind of military plane can fly at about 100 miles an hour. This was way slower than a commercial jet, but it was
Right.
going at 100 miles an hour, completely without sound, and all I could see was a ball of fire with no trail behind it. I mean, is that military? I guess it's possible,
Possible.
but
Yeah.
boy, I don't know of any military stuff.
Yeah. Sounds a little bit out there for
Yeah,
sure.
and it was odd.
So basically, you've had three amazing experiences, and um, I guess it would give you some thoughts on ET. You've been doing further research and you've made a presentation. You want to go through some of that research with us? Because I tend to think much like yourself with respects of where are they exactly? Did they come from space? Are they here? Have they been here all along?
Yeah.
You know, I'm anxious to hear what you have to say on that.
Well, I surprised myself, so I'm sure I'm going to be anxious to hear it
I
too.
love it.
Who knows what I'm
Yay!
going to say?
All right. I leave it to you then.
Okay,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to do this here? Do I
Just read
click
through
on
it.
share?
No, I don't even know that we can on here, on this platform. So what I'm
No.
going to do is basically just let you narrate it to us if you don't mind, because this is also on audio archives. So this way here, they wouldn't be able to see anything.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then I'm going to try something.
Okay.
Okay. Can you still see me and everything?
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, alrighty. So let me put this up on my screen,
Okay, of course.
and here it is. Okay, so um, the title of this is "Are They Here Yet?" And what I'm doing is trying to put together all of the potential information about whether they are visiting, whether
Hmm.
they're on their way, or whether they've been here all along. And I really didn't know when I started out. So,
Hmm.
well, although I have my ideas. So, where could they be coming from? There's a first question. The Hubble back in 1990, I think 96 or 7, um, it focused on an area of deep space where there was um, nothing visible from our telescopes.
Hmm.
So they look way out there, and there just wasn't anything there. So they focused in on that and decided to see if there's anything here. We may have to open up the apertures on this camera for a good long time. So they did. They opened the apertures for 14 days. And at the end of the 14 days, they got this star field that looked like it was loaded with stars and maybe a couple of galaxies.
Wow.
Well,
Hmm.
they realized after a while that when they looked at this picture, that what they were seeing was no stars. They couldn't see stars because they were so far away. They had to be seeing all galaxies.
Hmm.
And this has to be in the area of 13 billion years um,
Wow.
in the past,
Wow.
only a billion years after the Big Bang. So,
Mhm.
very, very interesting scenario. All of these, it's just a field of nothing but stars and blurs and maybe a couple of spiral galaxies, but it's completely full of stars.
Mhm.
Now, you ever wonder how they can tell how far away a galaxy is?
It has been a bit of a curiosity, but not enough to look it up.
Okay.
It
Well,
seems like a
there's
whole lot of work.
yes, there are several ways, and let me just mention a couple of them.
Of course.
Um, First of all, is angular parallax. And what that means is hold your arm at length um, all the way out
Right.
and look at your thumbnail. Then close one of your eyes and take a look at what is behind your thumb, a wall, a picture, whatever else. Then close the other eye. And what you see is that that thumbnail all of a sudden moved on you. That's a parallax. And this parallax can be looked at by looking at a star when you're on one side of the sun, and a half a year later, you look at the same star from the other side of the sun.
Right.
Okay. That's sort of like closing one eye and opening the other. Okay.
Hmm.
And what you'll get is an angle to that star. And we already know what the distance is between the Earth at those two spots.
Hmm.
The the distance to the star can be calculated using geometry.
Right.
Okay. So
Yes.
that's angular parallax. That really only works for closer in stars,
Hmm.
but it does a really good job of that.
Right.
Then we have pulsing stars, pulsars. And these stars blink on and off at fixed intervals and a fixed intensity. And how bright they are and how far away they are varies by its brightness that you're utilizing. You look at that particular pulsar, and it's going to be a certain brightness forever. Okay.
Wow.
You look at that thing way out beyond it, and you see something pulsing. And if it's significantly less bright, you can sort of make a guess as to how far away that is from the pulsar that you knew how far away it was. So that's it. That's one of the way. And the other way is utilizing a supernova. When a supernova pops off, there's two kinds. One is just a straight nova, and the other is a super that explodes at a huge intensity that can be seen all the way across the entire universe. And
Wow.
you can also use that to select how far away something is. But geometry and calculus, you can sort of hone in on how far apart these things are.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm not looking at my screen with the video on it. I'm looking at my presentation. So if
That's
somebody
okay.
has a question, break in, okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll
Okay,
just,
thank you.
yeah, we can
Alrighty.
just pop it in there, no problem.
Now,
Okay.
the other thing is when they're looking at these galaxies from a distance, they notice that these galaxies were almost always shifted slightly towards the red color. Now, what that means is the galaxy is moving away from us.
That's
Not only
interesting.
is it moving away from us, it's accelerating away from us. So there's only a matter of time before this thing is so far away that we won't be able to ever see it again
Wow.
because
That's
the
interesting.
light won't ever reach us.
Right. Right.
Like ever?
Well, let's think this through. If something is still way out there, it will take a fixed amount of time for it to reach us. If it's accelerating away from us, eventually it's going to accelerate towards the speed of light, and the light won't ever reach us.
Maybe it'll accelerate and get bounced from something we're not aware of.
I'm sorry, say that again. Maybe it'll what?
Maybe it will get out there, and then we're not familiar with all the energies of all the galaxies and everything and how it works. We're not really, it's not an exact science to say that it wouldn't come back.
Awkward silence.
Okay.
No, he's thinking. I'm Tom and I interact on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know he's thinking.
Okay. If these galaxies are going out and intermingling with something and perhaps ricocheting or being directed away from it, that would be true.
Okay.
But that's not what's happening. When the Big Bang occurred, the Big Bang expanded the space that was within the point that it used to be. So the space expanded, it didn't expand into the space around it. The space itself expanded. So it's not going to bounce back. It's not going to do anything like that. It's just going to continuously expand.
Okay.
Now, there are some galaxies in and around us that are shifted blue. And if they're shifted blue, it means they're approaching us. They're accelerating towards us. And because they're accelerating towards us, eventually they're going to become very close. One of them in particular, the Andromeda galaxy, is going to mix with our galaxy and create a mess of everything. But that's not going to be for a couple million years. But
wow.
Eventually it's going to get to the point, a long time in the future where we're only able to see a couple of galaxies around us and everything would have moved away from us and become invisible.
Wow.
Pretty interesting stuff, though.
It's very
Pretty
interesting.
scary.
Yeah.
It's deep.
Pretty
Very
scary.
deep. Yeah.
If it's
So
not going to happen for a couple billion years, I wonder why they're so anxious to move on to other planets.
why? Who's anxious?
Well, you know, they're always talking about like moving to Mars or the
Oh,
moon
okay.
didn't work
All
and
right.
this didn't work, but yet this isn't happening forever. And they're
Got it.
yeah,
Okay. Here's why.
conspiracy twist.
There has been probably 15 extinction events since our inception 4.5 billion years ago,
Okay.
meaning the entirety of the earth, all life forms were discontinued.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that it's just a matter of time before it happens again. And if something's coming towards us or we see something happening on our planet that's really bad, we have to be able to get away if we want the human race to move to live on.
It looks like it's already happened on Mars. I mean, they're starting.
Something big happened up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like leaving a really good, fruitful planet to looks like a dead planet.
Right?
Yeah.
And why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What do they know we don't know?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, I wouldn't think that there's any kind of conspiracy there.
No.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying to appease the conspiracy theorists, you know,
Yeah.
because those are questions that'll be sent to us after. Why didn't you ask this?
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's interesting. I mean, we haven't even explored our oceans. We haven't explored so many parts of this planet. Even if we're in trouble, is there a way with proper exploration that we could maybe help ourselves as opposed to spending all this money on a planet that is pretty much dead, unless there is something we don't know. They're not telling us.
Well, it's just a matter of
why can't
time.
you live underground or underwater? Or why can't you, if you can build on Mars, why can't you fix what's here?
Let's put it this way, Tom. Where would you go if you had a choice?
Great question.
I would have investigated the moon first and then jump to Mars, only because we have to take baby steps.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a baby step.
They've done moon exploration and they figure that the moon is already occupied.
And maybe those occupants are the ones who won't let them get there.
I wouldn't doubt that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, Kathy says,
I'm pretty sure something is going on underwater, of course. Yes, absolutely. But I'm wondering, 100%. Well, if they can live there, why can't we? It's like,
because they were there first. I don't know.
No, but I'm sure they were here first as well. There's a million questions with that. You know, it's disturbing that they want to be on Mars. It's very disturbing to me. I feel like it's a distraction for something else. And I am not a conspiracy theorist, Tom. You can see from my Facebook, I don't post anything like that. I listen to them. I have friends who are, and I listen to their points. I'm not completely closed-minded because I think everything comes and stems from some bit of truth. But it is a bit disturbing that they want to, populate Mars and create all these. I don't know. I just think it's a bit
Mars
all at once.
Okay, Mars is a baby step for us. Okay, we have to learn how to walk before we can run. Right, and that is a big deal. If we can figure out how to get to a planet like that, and perhaps even engineer their environment so we can live there, then that goes a long way for us being able to survive if something big is coming to smash into the earth.
Okay.
We've got to do those steps first.
Someone needs to tell Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
We just gotta let the
They're
big
making
guys
a
know. Yeah.
ton of money just touring it right now.
Some people don't
But-
believe in baby steps. So please continue on with your presentation.
Okie dokie. Now, every star seems to have several planets around it, at least the
Yes.
ones they've looked at. There's several ways that you can tell if there's a planet around a star.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of along the lines of telling the distance a star is from us. Looking at a planet takes the same kinds of technologies. First of all, if you look directly at a sun, at a star somewhere out there, we're never going to be able to see the planets around it, at least not yet. Okay, because the planets are so close to its sun compared to the distance that we are from it, that we're never going to be able to isolate one from the other, especially if we're looking from the Earth. If we're looking from space, it's a little bit of a different story. But every star seems to have a few planets around it. Now, how can we tell? The satellite that's up there now, one in particular that was launched not too many years ago, it's called Kepler. And what it does is it looks at stars, probably 100 at a time, and is able to tell if these stars are blinking, are dipping in color, or anything like that, because it stares at them and documents the brightness that it gets back. Now, if you have a planet that's going around it in the same kind of same kind of orbit that we have on our sun, the planet will be going across its sun. And as it does that, it'll make the light from this star drop ever so slightly. But that's what Kepler's looking at. And like I said, it's looking at hundreds at a time. It has a tremendous backlog of things for us to study and to tell if there are planets around particular stars.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another way is when we look at stars, these stars are moving around within our galaxy, just like we're moving at a tremendous speed. And we can tell how fast they're moving. Now, if you were to have a planet go around a star and be on the opposite side of it compared to what we're viewing, it will put a very slight tug on that star.
Mm-hmm.
So the velocity that we're seeing, that we're tracking, that velocity dips ever so slightly. And as the planet comes back around on the other side, it accelerates ever so slightly.
Mm-hmm.
That's how another way that we can tell if there is a planet moving around a star.
So there are all these planets. How many of them do you think contain life?
Actual life, okay?
Well, there's a lot of stars out there, and if every star's got a planet, that's pretty high odds.
Yes. Every star not only has a planet, every star has 4 or 5 planets.
So that's really big odds.
Yes,
there is
it is.
life.
And not only is the life possible on a planet, it's also possible on a moon that's going around a large planet.
See, there you go. So the odds keep increasing.
Yeah. And it's also possible, a little bit more remotely, that life can be created on an asteroid.
If it's big
An
enough,
asteroid,
how
that's
do they do
interesting.
that?
So there's a whole lot of potential for life out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the third way that we can tell if there's a planet going around a star is called reflective modulation.
Okay.
If a planet is going around a star, as this planet goes in front of the star as we're looking at it, it would make the star dip in light. As it goes around the back side of it, ever so slightly, the star would be shining on that planet, and we would see a slight increase in light because it would reflect off of it.
Hmm.
Now, that's not a lot, but it's happening. That's another way we can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth way is called gravitational lensing. Back in the 1920s, Einstein came up with a theory that a large body in the universe that has a tremendous amount of gravity would warp light that goes around it.
Mm-hmm.
Its gravity would bend the light. So about 8 or 10 years after he came up with this theory, there was a full eclipse, and they were looking at the sun. And Einstein, of course, predicted that you would be able to see stars that weren't in that area of the sky. It would be behind the sun. And lo and behold, as they were looking at the sun, there was a star that appeared in the sky that shouldn't have been in the sky at that point.
Mm.
And matter of fact, it was the star that was behind the sun. And it proved Einstein's theory. And that's another thing that can happen. Planets can add to the gravitational lensing of a star.
Hmm.
Yeah, believe me, people that sit around think of this stuff walk into walls. I mean, really.
Kathy says, infinite odds, can't wait to meet the neighbors.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can wait.
Let's go with that, Kathy.
Yeah.
I can wait. Just saying.
Yeah,
Let's hope they're friendly.
and it gets worse.
Oh, great. It gets worse.
Yeah, it
Can't
gets
wait
worse.
for this. Okay.
Okay, now the Milky Way galaxy has about 100 billion stars.
Oh.
That's on the low side. I think the number's closer to 400
Low
billion.
side. Wow.
Okay, so I'm using the 100 billion because it's easier for the math that I'm going to do here in a second.
Okay.
So 100 billion stars, and it's about average size.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I'm going to be talking about numbers that are so big, the difference between 1 million and 1 billion, that's an order of 1,000, okay?
Mm-hmm.
1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years.
Hmm.
So I'm going to be talking about things that are going to be so big that your mind won't even be able to understand
Comprehend
it.
it. I'm probably
Yes.
almost there.
Okay.
I was there
Yeah.
10 minutes ago, but anyways, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Now, the average number of stars in a galaxy, I said, picturing the Milky Way, which is 100 billion.
Mhm.
If you were to take the average number of stars in a galaxy and multiply by how many galaxies are in the universe,
Mm-hmm.
that number would be approximately 5 times 10 to the 22nd power, or 5 with 22 zeros after it. Each star likely has planets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So there we go with the whole odds thing again. Only this time, too close for comfort.
Yeah. Okay.
It's still infinite.
Now, not only this, what can we not see because it's too far away?
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if we also tend to think of our universe as everything.
Hmm.
What if it isn't? What if our universe is one of a trillion Big Bangs?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Yes.
Each one of them has its own space that's expanding,
Mm-hmm.
and it's expanding out into nothingness.
Okay, I'm gonna have nightmares.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it gets worse. What if-
You're just a bear of good news tonight, aren't you,
I
John?
know.
Seriously, like seriously.
What if there were multi dimensions?
Oh, yes, on multi-dimensions.
Oh yes,
Yes.
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 Well, I think everybody sort of feels that there are multi dimensions.
I think so.
What if there are actual civilizations within these other dimensions?
Yes.
Highly possible.
Well, sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
Very probable, I would think.
now, the Big Bang started our universe. What if there are billions of them and they're continuing every year, every month, every day?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me throw out some numbers here, as if I haven't thrown out enough. I said there was a 5 with 22 zeros after it for how
Mhm.
many stars are in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
in the universe. What if the odds for a civilization being created on a planet as 1 in a million?
Hmm.
That seems like, hey, that's pretty remote, right? There would be a 5 with 16 zeros after it, for that would be how many inhabited planets. Yeah. Okay.
It's
All right.
not looking too
Overwhelming.
good for us, is it?
No, it's overwhelming.
No.
Now,
I liked it better when I didn't know anything.
yeah. What if there were 1 in a trillion chances, or a million?
Right.
If it were that, it would be, we would have 50 billion inhabited planets. Now, of these 50 billion inhabited planets, what if 0.0000001% figured out how to travel the galaxy?
Yeah, I was going to say some of them may not all have that technology.
Right.
So
So
how much
a
would that
really
be?
tiny amount figured out how to travel the galaxy.
Right.
There would be 50,000 visiting civilizations.
Okay, what if just to put a little stone in there, what if these civilizations are much more intelligent than we are?
What if they are? Well,
Yeah.
it's very likely that they
I
are.
was going to say, I'm pretty much thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you have a whole like Planet of the Apes thing, and even they were like pretty far advanced. So
Now, we've had multiple extinction level events here on this planet.
yes.
What if a planet were created that had 0 extinction level events, and for their 5 or 10 billion years that they existed, they just kept evolving?
Mm.
We've only been evolving for maybe at the most 10,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
What if they've been able to evolve for 50 billion years?
Well,
How much further advanced would they be than us?
Why do I feel like we've been evolving for a lot more than 10,000 years?
Well, I mean, there've
Well-
been ancient civilizations that they've been finding, evidence of going back 30,000
Just last
plus
week.
years.
Yeah. Just
But
last
were
week.
they us?
actually.
Were they human beings as we know it, or were they extraterrestrials? Tom, what are your
Well,
thoughts?
I don't know.
All right, I like that answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna eventually get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe. This is a long
might-
presentation,
We
and
might
we're
need
talking
part
an awful
one.
lot in between. So,
Okay.
okay.
You go ahead.
Now, let's take scenario 1, the Kardashev scale.
Hmm.
You probably heard that name.
Uh-huh.
It's a method of measuring a civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy it's able to use. Okay, a type 1 can extract all of the energy from its star, all of it. Type 2 can do that along with being able to control its star. A type 3 become this is the really galactic travelers, and they know everything there is to know about energy, and they are becoming, the only way to describe it is they're becoming a master race.
Okay.
A type 4, they're able to harness the energy content of the entire universe and probably will live inside of supermassive black holes. All we can think of as a black hole is it swallows up stars and planets. They may live inside one. Type 5 beings, the beings, would be like gods, having the knowledge to manipulate the universe as they please.
I go with that theory.
What are we?
We are part of the collective zoo that lives on planet Earth. This is why it's so diverse with cryptids and portals everywhere, things coming in and out.
But what are we on the Kardashev scale?
Well, we're like complete primitive.
Yeah, 0.6.
Right.
We've learned about nuclear energy and burn fossil fuels, but we certainly haven't been able to harness the energy of our star. And the only amount of light that we've been able to gather from our star is the beam of light that's pointing directly at us. Everything else goes out into the universe and just disappears. Remember, I said a 0.1 harnesses the entire star. So we're a few years away from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's a comment. Kathy says, Gobekli Tepe, I'm hoping I said that right, recently discovered 1996, could be evidence of influence from another master race. Yes, and they actually just found one in the last year that's even older than that. So I guess it's like we were just saying, who was the race?
Right. Now,
Hydra.
was that race humans?
Yes.
Were they wiped out during one of the extinction level events?
Right.
Or did they see it coming, were able to move off, and then move back when the majority of the people who lived on Earth, being primitives as they were just figuring out how to get things back together again?
Yes.
But again, I have more information on that.
Let's do it.
Okay. Scenario number 2. What if they were here first?
Exactly.
What
Yes.
if? See, I told you I'd get to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
Now, one of the things that we had to look at is the continent of Lemuria,
Yes.
Atlantis, and perhaps even Antarctica and Pangea. Pangea means every single continent on planet Earth was one early on, and then it started breaking apart because of the subduction of plates and stuff.
Yes.
So, all right, let's talk about Lemuria for a few seconds.
Right.
It was proposed in 1864 by Philip Sclater. It was said to maybe include the Pacific or Indian Oceans. That would include Hawaii, South Sea Islands, Australia, India, and California, or a good portion of California, including Mount Shasta. Yeah.
Mount Shasta. Yeah.
And the inhabitants, by the way, were said to be people who may be described as Bigfoot or glowing people 7 feet tall.
There we go. Giants.
All right. Now, were these extraterrestrials, or were they just advanced humans?
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
We weren't sure at this point.
Right.
Now, Atlantis.
Hmm.
First of all, was this a real place?
I
Where
think so.
was it?
I think
Was
so.
it in the North Atlantic, or perhaps in the Mediterranean Sea,
Hmm.
or maybe it was in North Africa, or perhaps the Azores Islands, or maybe it was off of the coast of the Bahamas
Maybe it was a ship.
maybe on the eastern side where it either disappeared or took off, and on the western side where it went down into the water in the area of what's now Cuba.
Hmm.
Not sure, but I think we're still trying to figure that out.
There are ruins right off the coast of Cuba that are pretty compelling.
Hmm. Now, who inhabited this, and were they advanced?
Hmm. I think so.
If they were advanced, maybe they weren't human, or at least earthly human.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Maybe they were humans, but they never originated on Earth.
I agree.
Did some survive?
Yes, I believe so.
Did they mate with what was on the Earth at that time to create a new race? By mate, I mean take one for the team.
Procreate.
Yeah,
Let's
go
go with
out,
that.
go out and
Take one for the team.
have sex with I don't know what. Okay,
Right.
that's interesting. But this is absolutely possible because, admit it, ladies, you have to admit it, you've already dated a Neanderthal sometime in your past.
Maybe more than
Yes.
one. Maybe more than one.
So you have to agree that it is not out of the question.
Absolutely not.
No, exactly. Here's just a comment before we get too far ahead. Mike Walker, hi Mike. Humans operating from a higher frequency could become light beings? Question mark, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I had a dream about meeting one of those light beings one time.
Right.
Did you?
That was, oof.
Was it a dream or maybe it was an experience?
Yes.
Well,
Kathy.
I don't know.
Yes. Kathy says they went forth and multiplied.
Yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's continue
Okay.
on.
Okay. Now, is all this possible? I think so.
Yes.
And I think that we could be designed through DNA. Either somebody messed with our DNA, or through procreation, inserted their DNA into ours, and through our children, we became a new race.
I agree. Maybe that's where the Rh negative blood type comes from.
Maybe.
Blue eyes, green eyes, hazel eyes.
Hazel, really? You
Not
think
brown
it really
eyes, which
does
was
fit in there?
the norm. Pardon?
You really think Hazel fits in there? Hazel has every damn color in it.
Yeah,
It
but
has
it's just a
some
mix. But the
brown.
point is original
Yeah.
eye
no,
color was brown.
I'm just curious. I'm
Rh
asking
positive.
you. Yeah.
So that lends to Tom's theory because no one can trace it,
Yes.
right?
I'm asking because I'm curious myself, because I'm not making a statement. I'm actually very curious.
I'm still reeling at the thought of going out and mating with everything in sight. That must have been an interesting time. That's all I can say.
I'm sure it would have been.
But it was a different. Are we talking Woodstock, or are we talking?
Yes.
Well, we're probably talking something similar to it.
Because I think it's very close.
Yeah.
I
All
wonder
right.
how many species came out of that festival.
All right. Next on the list.
Okay. Now, were we created through intermingling? I think we were. Was it God, or was it someone else, or something else, or some other events? But I think that we have to consider everything if we're going to be looking at human history. It all has to be on the table.
Right.
Okay, scenario number 3. We were here first. Now, one of the things I did in my books, they are here, is I looked at things like, well, let me stop there. I was looking for a reason why there were so many sightings in places. So what I did was I looked at everything that I could think of, such as visual reports, sightings, overlaps, the indigenous people and their stories of their gods and creators, their ancestors told them, rock painting, earthquakes, weather, pollution, CO2, power plants. I looked at everything I could possibly think of to try to explain why these UFOs were here.
Okay.
Okay, I looked at them.
Okay.
Now, one of the things I looked at was Native Americans. And that was what I termed a mother lode.
Okay. And why would that be?
That is because, first of all, they had little or no written language. They didn't write things down. They related stories to each other.
Oral history, yes.
Yep. And if they did anything with a pen or something similar to a pen, like charcoal, they did pictorials, draw little pictures. Now, what if they're ancient myths that they've passed on? What if it's direct history? And I came across, when I was looking at the Native Americans, I came across the Algonquin tribe.
Yes.
How the Algonquin tribe lived along the Atlantic Ocean in the area of northern North America. And
they come right up into Canada.
Yep. And they created excuse me, they didn't. They set down a prophecy that was to be passed on to all of the descendants of their tribe. And that was called the 7 Fires prophecy.
Okay.
Let me go through that prophecy.
Yes,
please. The first fire, again, a fire is something that's life-giving to all of the Native Americans. They wouldn't be able to survive without fire. Now, these big events, they called them fires. They would leave their homes by the sea and follow the sign of the Megis. Now, what the heck's a Megis? A Megis is a human skin colored fish.
Really?
Yeah. So they thought they were fish because they came out of the water. And look, they also had human skin. So what the heck were they? I'm going to get into that in a little bit. The second fire, and again, this was passed down by these Megis to the Native Americans, and they told the stories. The second fire was dreams of a little boy would point the way back to the true path. So basically saying, you're going to lose your way, but just be aware that the little boy is going to point his way back. The third fire, they would find a path to the lands prepared for them. And they would continue their journey west to the place where food grows upon the water. That was their description. What they did was they traveled down the St. Lawrence Seaway across northern Great Lakes and settled in the land of northern Michigan, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. And Minnesota, especially, a land of 1,000 lakes. Believe me, there's really 1,000 of them there. It's unbelievable. But food does grow upon the water. And they would have plenty to eat when they got there.
Mhm.
The fourth fire, expect a race of people who had light skin. Well, that sure happened.
Mhm.
Number two, the light skin race might wear the face of death that would almost look the same as a face of brotherhood. We're here for you guys. Well, they weren't. And you shall recognize the face of death if the rivers are poisoned and the fish are unfit to eat.
Mhm.
Sound familiar?
Sure does.
Yeah. Okay. The fifth fire. As this fire loses its heat, there will come among the people those who promise great joy and salvation.
Yep.
That great joy and salvation, well, that was the white man's God, wasn't it?
Sounds a little bit like religion. Absolutely.
And they said that you will struggle for many generations. And
Which
this
happened.
promise is false, and it will nearly destroy those who accept it.
Yeah. There we go.
The sixth fire. Remember, I said this is a 7 fires prophecy. The
Mhm.
sixth fire is the promise accepted during the fifth fire was false. Those who were deceived by this promise will take their children away from the teachings of the elders. The elders will lose their purpose in life, and many will become sick and die. Well,
Yeah.
that happened. And
Yes, it
many
did.
people will be out of balance, and the cup of life will become the cup of grief.
Yes. Yes.
The seventh fire. This is a little bit long, so I'll paraphrase here.
Okay.
The stories that had been lost, that were told and passed down, the Native American elders no longer were able to tell the stories because the youngsters were pulled away from the teachings of the elders.
Mhm.
Many of the elders will point in the wrong direction. Others will remain silent because of their fear. And some of the elders will be silent because no one has asked them for their wisdom in such a long time.
Mhm.
That's the seventh fire.
Mhm.
Now, the seventh to the eighth, the light-skinned people will be given the choice between two paths. If they choose the right paths, the seventh path will light the eighth fire and final fire of brotherhood and sisterhood. It will all become clear, and everything will be wonderful from here on.
Do they give a timeline for that?
No,
Dang it.
the wrong decision will create a great reset.
Haha.
Oh, there's the word.
That's the
Yeah.
great reset. That's exactly the buzzwords that are being thrown around right now.
Yeah, we are split right now between the two.
Right.
And how we choose makes all the difference.
Kathy says, funny you should mention there's lots of sightings and strange activities in the skies in Algonquin Park over the past summer. Yeah, I have a family member who's got land up there, like really close.
Sure.
And it's definitely a bit of a hot spot, so to speak. So, yes, I do believe that the indigenous people had very close relationships with extraterrestrials. And
Yes, they did and still do.
Yes, just like the
Um,
Hopi, right? They were also given
yeah.
prophecies.
In my second book, I interviewed a young girl who was part of the Algonquin tribe, and they are the I'm trying to figure the name of them. They were the I've drawn a blank, but it'll come to me in a few
That's
seconds here.
okay. Just blurt it out whenever it gets there.
Okay. And
Yes.
she told stories about what she was told as she was growing up.
Right.
Here it is. They were the Algonquin that moved over into the Midwest. They renamed themselves the Ojibwe.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
right. We have a Ojibwe up here as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the it was found out that the stories that the Native Americans were telling were exactly the same stories that they were telling in the in various parts of the world, like in Iran and Iraq. The Sumerians referred to fish-like men who
Yes.
came out of the water and taught them. The Dogon tribe in North
Yes.
Africa, master of waters, they referred to. The
Yes.
Hindu, they said the people appeared to them in the form of a fish. I don't think they were actually fish. I think because they came out of the water, the people who saw them figured they must be fish.
Mhm.
Okay. The Anishinaabe, this is what the Ojibwe called themselves. They referred to the Megis as a human skin colored fish.
Doreen in chat is Ojibwe, so welcome.
So they also referred to iridescent people. These
Yes.
iridescent people in Sumerian lore, the people mined for gold, and they were called the Shining Ones.
Yes.
In Dogon, they were said to be called that they were glowing bright. The Hindu, golden in color. The Anishinaabe, radiant and iridescent. The Sioux, golden eagle and golden feathers. The Natchez tribe. Now there are two groups of this Natchez tribe. The first group, they reminded everybody who saw them as the standard Native Americans from back in the 1800s. They're 5'6" average height, dressed just like the other tribes with their own tribal differences. And the other group of them were 7-footers that glowed bright. Where the hell did they come from?
Yeah.
Okay.
So big connections, yeah.
So there's also references to 7 gods.
Yes.
The Sumerian talked about 7 sages. A Dogon, 7 amphibious creatures. The Hindu, 7 great sages, and referred to each one of them as being one of the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. The Anishinaabe, 7 Megis. The Sioux, 7 gods, 7 fireplaces, 7 council fire. The number 7 over and over and over again.
And interestingly enough, even religion looks at 7 as a sacred number. So
now, in these various places where these people wrote or talked or drew pictures about or however they documented their information, all came from the time of immediately after the Great Flood, when people came out of their hiding areas and were figuring out how to live again. In Samaria, about 4000 BC. Dogon, Africa, 4000 BC. In India, 4000 BC. Anishinaabe, 4000 BC. Sioux, 4000 BC. They all happened in and around the same time. Now, how did that happen? If after the Great Flood, the best people could do is maybe scare up a horse.
True enough.
Right?
True enough.
I
True
mean,
enough.
how did this happen across the whole world?
I don't know, but we're going to come right back to that. We have to do a station and sponsor ID.
We definitely do.
Steady, please. Okay.
Thank you. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano. Tonight's amazing guest, returning guest, is Tom Conwell. We are broadcasting to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio, on United Paranormal Radio, right? I can't even see. This is crazy. International Public Radio. And all of our Facebook pages right now. Our amazing intro and outro, and that fabulous voice that you hear is courtesy of Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. He is an award-winning composer. And you can find him on Bandcamp and Amazon. Check out his music. It's phenomenal. It's original. It's unique. I know you'll love it, especially if you love our songs before and after. We also like to thank Folgers from the first day to we hope the end. Thank you, Folgers. We love you. We appreciate your support. And we
are back. Stage is yours, Tom.
My favorite word.
There we go.
All right. By the way, I know we're not going to complete this. I'm about halfway through.
Okay, you still have time.
I need a part three.
You've got about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Awakening.
Right.
I believe that the awakening is the eighth fire. I believe they're one and the same.
Okay.
And this is coming. Everybody is in the process of awakening. Will it actually happen? I don't know. It depends on what choices we make as a human race. But I think that things are happening.
Absolutely. I would agree with you.
And telepathy is going to become the new norm.
Cool. That's going to cause a lot of family feuds.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Picture Thanksgiving with that one.
Oh, my.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. And are there specific signs for awakening that people should be looking for? Or is this going to be different for everyone?
Well, it's going to be, it's going to vary for a lot of people. I think that they're going to see things like time prompts. Looking at the clock and always seeing 11:11 or,
for example,
12:12 or that.
So it's like evolving, basically, right?
Yeah.
High frequencies, vibrations, things like that.
I think people are going to start having significant dreams. And these dreams are going to come true, where they're going to be able to create their own realities.
Yes.
At this point, I would like recommend people look up awakening and query YouTube, because there's 50 different YouTube videos on how to tell if you're in the process of awakening, or if you're a star child, or if there's a whole bunch of things like that. And I would recommend you go to that, because that's an entire talk unto itself.
It is. It is. And we can do that sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
So anyhow, your life will never be the same if you have a major experience in the realm of seeing a ghost, having a vision, seeing a UFO, or something along these lines. Things are going to change for you as a person. That's going to be, for me, that was my first step.
Right.
Okay. Others may have other things happen first, but this is going to happen. This is going to be one of your steps where all this stuff is going to become apparent to you. What you do with it, these ascension symptoms, first of all, they're going to be mentally painful. But what you do with it, that's what's important. And you're also going to be probably struggling with, what is God? Is it spiritual? Are you spiritual? Do you need to be spiritual? You're going to have that struggle too.
It's every day.
Yeah.
So
that's in this field. It's every day.
Because there is a difference. If people have a hard time separating, there's a difference between religion and spirituality.
Oh yeah.
And not always one of the same for people, unfortunately.
No. And you could still pray and not be religious. I'm Roman Catholic, and all the Catholics listening, do not email me. But you can pray without being religious. Prayer is not always written. Sometimes it's just It's supposed to be a conversation with God if you believe in God. So
Very
Stage
true.
is yours. Go ahead.
Very true. I was raised Roman Catholic myself, and I don't even go to church anymore because I think it's just a bunch of
I'm a recovering Roman Catholic, is what I usually say.
recovered. There you go.
I am spiritual, though. I am. I
Yes.
believe in.
I wasn't for a lot of years,
Yeah.
but I am now. Believe me, after things started happening to me, oh boy. Yeah.
It's a much bigger picture. You believe in a creator. You believe in the universe. You just
Yeah.
believe there's more. You know it's something. I just not a fan of the fan club.
it can't be all that they're saying because they're all saying it differently as well.
Exactly.
So
Okay. So after awakening and how it's different for everybody, next.
Okay. What would happen if we attracted them? That's the reason that they're here. Let's just say they were never here and we evolved. Okay, let's just say that. 'Cause I have to look at all the different scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say that we attracted them recently.
Mm-hmm.
How could that have happened? Well, back in the 1910s, we invented radio. And since then, that radio signal has been going out into the cosmos at the speed of light in every direction.
What about the atomic bomb?
Oh, I
Like,
haven't
because
gotten to
that
that.
ripple effect, I'm sure it
Yeah.
attracted somebody.
You betcha. The fact that we were at war, once they finally got somebody's attention, all of a sudden we're fighting with each other. I'm sure that didn't make anybody happy, because if we're fighting with each other, what are we going to do when we advance to meeting them? Are we going to pick fights with them? They were really worried. And then we lit off nuclear weapons and the electromagnetic nuclear weapon signature that went out at the speed of light everywhere. That wasn't good.
I
Our
agree.
physical constructs of power plants, using nuclear fuel, we're venturing
Causing a
into
disturbance in the force is what you're saying. Like ripple
well, yeah,
effects.
sure.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that.
And what are we doing to our own planet?
Yeah. And our own people.
We're polluting the crap out of it.
Yes.
So
We're killing it.
Yeah. Now, we have nuked people from our own planet. That can't make them very happy. What are we going to do when people look different than us?
We can't even get along with each other, let
I know.
alone something otherworldly.
I know. That has got to be interesting them. And they have got to know, they have to figure out what we're up to.
Do you think it's a big social experiment? Maybe that they're seeing what we're going to do?
It could be an experiment.
That's going back to the whole overseer sort of mentality of something else being up there manipulating.
Now, what's the upside with us? First of all, only some on our planet have ascended, and more ascensions are happening daily.
Yes.
We are a handful, but we're redeemable. And our ancestors make us a promising lot, especially the ancestors of the Native Americans. If we attracted them, you can forget about all the stuff that's out there. Rock art, Old Testament, ancient Morse. What we do now is what matters. We have to prove ourselves right now. We have to stop the war. We have to stop the anger, and we have to get along with each other and make it look like we're trying. That's the only way, because if they show their face, they're just going to end up super pissed. And we don't want that, especially if they're a million years advanced from us. That wouldn't end up well for us. So
Right.
there's another scenario, and someone asked a question before, similar to what I'm going to talk about here. What
Okay.
about ancient writings and megastructures?
Right.
Were these things part of a legacy left for us to discover, such as Bible stories, mostly from the books of the Old Testament,
Mm-hmm.
or the writings of the Vedic scripts written in Sanskrit from India, the
Mm-hmm.
Bhagavad Gita, Book 6 of the Mahabharata,
Mm-hmm.
passed down stories from the Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they all relate to nice stories of us, of them um, seeing us do nice things. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
these are really important. The ancient writings, they're they're um, they're stories on how to do things.
Mm.
Now,
A guideline, maybe.
a guideline. Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Now, what about the megastructures?
Mm.
Who made them? Did we make them?
Mm-hmm.
Were they made for us to show us this is how you do it, guys? What about the pyramids?
Academia
They-
would tell you no, but
yeah,
I think realistically, there's a lot of signs that lean to possibly.
yes. What about the pyramids in Giza?
Mm-hmm. I've
Angkor
been.
Wat, the Cambodia temple.
Yes.
Machu Picchu, the Andes Mountains of Peru.
Yes.
Teotihuacan, northeast of Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
There's those low flat pyramids. The
Yes.
Nazca lines. What were
Yes.
they up to there?
Yes.
Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, Peru.
Mm-hmm.
Pumapunku, Tiwanaku, Bolivia.
Mm-hmm.
Göbekli Tepe in Sanliurfa, Turkey.
Yes.
Stonehenge and Superhenge in Great Britain.
Power
They're
spots.
they're all done as an example of something.
Mm-hmm.
They're to show us something.
I believe they're also power spots, portals, vortices.
Could be that all those things that were made were made in those particular spots because that's where they realized that wherever they generated power from, they
Mm-hmm.
could transmit it to those particular spots because they were
Yes.
hot spots.
I would agree with you on that.
Yep.
I would. And if there are portals, let's face it, that's where they're coming in and out of as well.
Sure.
I like it. Next.
Okay. Rock painting.
Yeah, yes.
Now, in France, in the limestone caves, the area was kept in perfect condition.
Mhm.
Because of the limestone cave, it was kept at exactly the same humidity and exactly the same temperature. And the cave dwellers went in there and drew pictures, and we got a hint about what they did and what they what their life was like. And there weren't many pictures drawn there that gave us the impression that there were extraterrestrials there.
Mhm.
But that wasn't the only place that we saw rock painting or anything like it.
Mhm.
Deep in the Sierra de San Francisco of Baja, there's a concentration of the world's most extraordinary rock art sites. There's
Mhm.
also some in Horseshoe Canyon, Utah, and the Anasazi, the Pueblo people, dating between 3,000 and 800 years ago. They drew pictures of things that didn't look human.
Mhm.
And I think they were trying to tell us something. They drew what they saw. They were trying to tell us something, but we haven't figured out what it was that they were telling us exactly yet.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I agree. And it's all over the world. It's amazing.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Next.
Okay. What about abductions that are going on?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Now, we can only guess why certain people are picked on for abductions.
Mm,
We don't know exactly, although we can pretty much guess. Is it because of their particular DNA or
mhm,
their lineage? I think the lineage is probably more critical there.
mhm.
I think they were probably able to determine whose lineage is the important ones from um, previous DNA injections in our ancient past.
Mhm. Agreed.
Hybridization.
Yes,
Um, I believe that there's a hybridization program.
I believe that
I
too.
don't think that it has anything to do with um, with the fact that the DNA for the um, for the aliens is somehow corrupted, and they need our DNA to steal.
I
I don't think it
agree.
has anything to do with it. I think what they're trying to do is get a foothold in on our planet by creating people who look similar to us, and that's what they're doing.
But more advanced,
Oh,
I think.
they're
Yeah.
way advanced, yes, yeah,
Yes. Yes.
but they wouldn't look. They'd be different from us. They look different from us, but they'd be close enough that they'd be almost acceptable. And I
Mm.
think that's why. Again, I'm only guessing, but
Mhm.
that's just my guess.
It's a good guess.
Maybe.
I like your
Um,
guess. That's a good
yeah.
guess.
Curiosity.
Okay.
Are they just curious about us? So they steal us and do experiments? I
I
don't
think that
buy
goes
that.
back to Eisenhower and Truman.
Yeah. Yeah, but they allowed them to do that.
Yeah, they
Um,
sold us out.
yeah, but
Right.
they allowed them to do that
Yes.
because they wanted to do that. And they wanted to do that because they had something in mind.
Yes. Agreed.
Yep. Okay, now they have something in mind. Got that. Are they indeed trying to jumpstart our awakening?
Uh-uh. No, that is a good
Is it
concept.
possible? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe. Um,
Yeah.
I
I can
I
see
had
that.
the opportunity to interview in the area of 30 to 35 people. Some people started uh, their interviews about abductions and chickened out,
Mhm.
and other people allowed me to ask them anything, and they answered.
Mm.
But one of the things that I was able to realize from the questions I was asking is that the people that were abducted were they all considered themselves psychic. And not only that, after they returned, they considered themselves more psychic.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
that's one of the theories. Yeah.
yeah, I've always had that in the back of my mind. Are they diddling with our psychic beings,
Well,
or
that would be evolving us or
yeah,
waking us up.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure it would. Are they jump starting our awakening? And back when I was doing the interviews, awakening wasn't even on my radar,
Mhm.
but it became apparent to me during my last book. Um,
Mhm.
so um, something big is going on with what they're planning.
And they just seem to be working with select people. It's not everyone.
Mhm.
So, what is it about those select people or family lines that make them so enticing? Maybe they just evolve quicker.
Um, if speed, that I don't know if that would be it.
Mm. Then
Um,
what makes certain bloodlines or lineages so enticing that they follow them for generations?
mhm. Could it be because some of these guys way back in our ancient past who took one for the team and went out and
Multiply. Let's go with that.
mated?
Yeah.
Um, could they know who these people are, their lineages, and
Maybe.
hone in on them?
Well, one of those people would have been Enoch.
Yes, that would have been one of them. Yeah.
Enoch was one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's documented in the Old Testament. He did go forth and multiply.
Yeah.
And when he was tired, he literally just disappeared.
So there's something going on. It's really big, and
Yes.
I don't know where to go with it other than to throw out my theories and let it lie.
I like it though. I like it. It's fresh. Okay, next.
Okay. And only a few abductees or experiencers truly know what the reason is. And I think many of them, they know intuitively what the reason is.
Mm.
But I think they've been told not to tell us yet.
Wow.
And I also think that once they make themselves known, then everything will be known to everybody all at once because of what they're capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my opinion.
So, like people, maybe the hybrids, maybe, from the old family lines.
Yep. And I know a few of those people,
Me too.
and they no, and they would not tell me because I started to drill down to the nitty gritty there, and they stopped me at that particular point.
It's funny, yet there are some experiencers who are very vocal about it.
Oh yeah, well, they're vocal to a point.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Well, it just tells you we're on the cusp of something. Okay, next.
Okay, new scenario. Sightings everywhere. Since 2001, there have been nearly 175,000 sightings in the U.S.
Wow.
Reported
sightings, yeah.
Reported. Now, there's probably 1 in 100 go actually reported. So, I mean, there's a lot of things being seen up there that that are obviously sightings that people look at and they'll go, nobody will ever believe me, and they keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, there's more people who don't report it than the reported cases.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree.
Probably tenfold. It's crazy.
More than tenfold.
Yeah.
Close to 100-fold.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the time too. I think people are more open now with the internet and disclosure, things like that. Okay, next.
Okay. Everywhere you look, there are large groupings of sightings.
In
some areas have low population compared to cities, but have plenty of sightings. And right here, I have my U.S. map of if you were to look at the last radio event that we had, you'll see my map there, and
yes,
there's so many unusual areas here that can be commented on that I just don't even have words for. There's 100 different areas in the United States that I find unusual.
And what would be the most active in your opinion?
The most what?
The most active, the most sightings going by your map.
Oh, most sightings?
Yeah.
By the map, it would probably be the Pacific Northwest.
Oh. Wow.
As far as an area.
Okay.
And that would be extending from central Oregon right up north to the Canadian border. There's a mass of things seen in that area.
Do you think it's because of the water?
Well, that's certainly a part of it.
Coming from the water? Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly a very big part of it. Yeah, water plays a big part everywhere.
Mhm.
Do you think they're coming from the water?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot down though.
Now, as far as the most sightings in a particular area, that would probably be Phoenix,
Hmm.
perhaps even
Arizona.
the greater Los Angeles area.
Mhm.
Yeah, Arizona's active. Active. for
Sometimes
that
I
sector.
wonder with the greater Los Angeles area, because of their population, you just have more eyes in the sky, kind of, so to
Th-
speak.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Mm,
Absolutely true. But there's an awful lot of things being seen there because
Yeah.
right off of the coast is Catalina Island.
yeah.
And it's been a lot of
Yes.
stories about Catalina Island. And
Yeah.
directly north of that, there's a huge Air Force base that
That's
is
right.
very popular.
No, that's right. That's right. That's one of the big ones. Okay. Next.
Okay. Um, Scenario number 9. UAP.
Ah, yes.
Now, when I was a teenager, it was a lot of years ago. I heard about UFOs,
That's right.
and that was the big deal. Everybody talked about UFOs, unidentified flying object.
Mm,
Now, in 2017, when they first started to describe the sightings that were done by the Navy pilots, they didn't call them UAP or UFOs. They
mm,
called them UAPs.
that's right.
And I often wondered why they would do that.
Mm,
Why wouldn't they just call them Everybody's familiar with UFO.
mhm,
Well, first of all, unidentified flying and unidentified aerial
mhm.
mean pretty much the same thing,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? The real trick comes in when you call it object versus phenomenon.
That's right.
Phenomenon is far more descriptive, okay?
Mhm,
Because what's being seen in the sky are things that change their shape, or things that disappear,
mhm,
um, things that grow smaller or grow bigger or split into two. You can't call that an object, okay?
mhm.
That's really a phenomenon. So UAP is more descriptive. That's one
Yes.
reason, okay? Now, the other reason is um, when they were trying, they meaning the government, was trying to poo-poo anybody talking about UFOs in the sky as being real, and that includes the entirety of the time from the 40s all the way through the 1990s and early 2000s.
Mm,
They called these people tinfoil hat wearing
that's
wackos,
right.
right? And if all of a sudden they were to say, well, UFOs could come from a different planet, and they said that out loud, they would be all of a sudden lying to all the people that they called tinfoil hat wearing wackos for the past 70 years. Okay. They
Mm,
couldn't do that. So they had to make up a new name. And the new name was a UAP.
right.
Even
Right.
though it's more descriptive, okay, I get that.
That covers a
But
little bit more of a variety.
yeah,
Right.
they couldn't call it a UFO because by their own um, jumping up and down and screaming at people and telling them that they're idiots or they never saw anything or it's all the planet Venus, they couldn't go against that,
Right.
right? So
Yeah. Makes sense.
that's that anyhow. That's
All right.
UFO versus UAP, and that's the reason.
All right.
Mhm.
Next.
Okay, the conclusion.
Yes.
Were they here before us?
Yes.
Well, you have to ask the question, before what? Well, before we were a civilization, meaning a recent civilization, before we started writing and drawing. Some of the things that were drawn were of something that shouldn't have existed then. Before we were creating inventions. Are they here now? I think it's a big yes to that one.
Absolutely.
What are they doing?
Right.
Why are they backing off from us? What are they waiting for?
Right.
Why wait any longer? What could be next for us? And in conclusion, our time is here and now. We need to sit up and take notice of all that is going on in our skies, in our history, put it together and talk in realistic terms. They have been here. They are here. They continue to be here because they have a reason to be here. And we've got to come to grips with that.
Agreed. Agreed. That was a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. That really, really a great presentation. And I mean, right, almost on the mark too. That was like fantastic. So this is the part of show, as you know, where you promote yourself, promote your books, tell people how to find you, what you have coming up.
Okay, well, right now I don't have anything planned. It's the winter in upstate New York, and I'm not traveling anywhere.
Nope.
We're not far. We're not far from you, so we know.
However, I will be looking into doing YouTube events. Maybe I'll write a couple of more presentations like this and do them on YouTube, break them up into mini presentations, and cover a whole bunch of different subjects. So that's down the road. My books, they are here. Volume 1, East Coast UFOs. Volume 2, Central US. By the way, the one, that particular one, Volume 2, is the one that has the most about the Native Americans and the Seven Fires prophecy. Excellent. They are here. Volume 3, Western US, are 3 in a series that go along with the map that I created. And you can get copies of my map from me in a 8.5 by 11 or an 18 by 24. And the 18 by 24 is very nice. That's a really nice photograph that was done for me. My other 2 books, Going Interstellar, that's a collection of blogs I wrote about the problems that that if we were to go to their planet, the problems we would have to solve and what that would take. My latest book, Earthquakes and UFOs, I tried to prove that that UFOs were attracted to the major earthquakes.
So we talked about that on the last segment in last July for those who were really interested in that.
And all of those books are available from me. If you want, I can send them to you.
And your website is?
Well, I don't have a website.
Okay, so Facebook. How do they find you?
Facebook's the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay.
Because then we can just chat there as much as you want. But my Facebook address is tom.conwell.3.
Okay, perfect.
And if you want to get in touch with me, I'll tell you how to pay for that, and we can do lots of different ways. And I'll send the signed copies, or you can get them through Amazon.
Excellent. All right. I'm just posting up here. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you again. Wow.
Thank you.
That's all I could say is wow. Fantastic presentation. And so pleased that you joined us. So pleased. And the chat room, everybody loved it. And I think you've got people who are going to be looking for you on that YouTube project.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
thank you again for having me. I love you guys' show.
Oh, we
And,
love you. Thank you, Tom,
Thank
for everything.
you.
Thank you for all of your time.
Yes. And
Oh.
and yeah, let us know when you have something coming up, or maybe when you start on these YouTube projects. Maybe we can do this again next year.
Okay. Okay. My next presentation, I'll tell you about, and maybe I do a practice session or a preview for you.
That would be fantastic.
Sounds great.
I love
Thank
it.
you. See you on
All right.
Facebook.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
thank you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you. You
Happy
too. And
Thanksgiving.
thank you again for having me. I appreciate everything.
Oh,
Thank
thank you.
you,
It was our
Tom. Have a great
pleasure.
night.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. Bye now.
Good night.
Bye.
How do I?
Are you trying to get out? Nope. There we go. There we are. Okay. There we go. Everybody gets stumped on that one.
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, we have come to the end of another fantastic segment. Wow, I thought that was just a fantastic presentation. So thank you so much for that, Tom Conwell. Thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring us. Thank you to Justin Snicker for providing his music and his voice for our intro, outro. Thank you to everyone in chat. You guys were just awesome as always. Please remember to head over to our YouTube channels and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on the Outer Realm if you already have it. If you haven't, why haven't you? Come on now. But if you want to contact us, please head over to your email and catch us at the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. That's the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Next week, more amazing guests. Wednesday night, we'll bring a friend of mine, Michelle Freed, to the show. She's going to be discussing remote viewing. And she did train actually with the CIA. So I think you guys are going to find it really interesting, and hopefully you'll love her as much as I do. Thursday night welcomes Marisol Smiley to the show. Now, for those of you who are regulars in chat, you should know Marisol is often in chat, but she's an abductee and experiencer and has decided to talk about her experiences because she feels she wants people to know that these experiences and ET does, and they do in fact exist. And when you hear her story, you'll understand why it's so important to her. So everyone, have a great weekend. Don't forget to tune into Joe and I on the Gray Zone Uncensored this coming Saturday, 6 to 8, I guess it would be Eastern, and 5 to 7, did I get that right? That would be Central. And check us out because it's going to be really, really good. A little bit different this time. So good night. I think I got all that right.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.